Hi, this is Remembering the Past, the show where we talk about people who died recently who've had a profound effect on our history, our society, or our culture. Tonight we're going to start out with Gene Fullmer, who died recently at the age of 83. Gene Fullmer was the Mormon Mauler from West Jordan, Utah, the second greatest Mormon fighter ever after Jack Dempsey. The golden age of boxing in America was in the 1950s when it filled the television airwaves, hosted by Don Dunphy, Friday night at the fights, Saturday night at the fights, brought to you by Gillette. Everyone watched boxing. And there were three great middleweights. Gene Fullmer was one of them, along with Carmen Basilio, whose podcast we've done, and Sugar Ray Robinson, the greatest of them all. And in fact, Gene Fullmer beat Sugar Ray Robinson 2 out of the 4 times they fought. The first time was one of the memorable fights in boxing history, where he took the middleweight crown from Sugar Ray. Here's Utah TV on the death of Gene Fullmer.
A legendary boxer who was proud to call Utah home died last night. Gene Fullmer, former world middleweight champion, was 84.
He died the same day his brother Jay, also an accomplished boxer, was laid to rest. Fox 13's Todd Tanner joins us now with more on the Fullmer boxing legacy. Todd.
That's right, guys. Now, Gene was the most famous of the fighting Fullmer brothers. He first won the middleweight championship in 1957 and is perhaps most famous for beating legendary boxer Sugar Ray Robinson in the ring.
Wow, what a legacy. Todd, thank you so much.
Young guys got his age wrong, and they weren't even born when he was a legend. Not sure they know too much about him, so I'm going to go to another Sugar Ray Leonard on ESPN, who discusses the great fight in January of 1957 where Gene Fullmer beat Sugar Ray Robinson for the middleweight title.
When Sugar Ray Robinson met Gene Fullmer for the first time for his middleweight crown, he didn't expect a tough opponent. Fullmer was from the small town of West Jordan, Utah, who fought 39 times. Still, in his 6th year as a professional fighter, Fullmer had become the #1 middleweight contender. He was a persistent, punishing puncher, the opposite of Ray Robinson. They were like sandpaper and silk. The smooth styles Robinson had won the world welterweight title in 1946. Moving up to the middleweight division, he had already captured the title 3 times, the first time in 1951. Going into this fight, Fullmer had an age advantage. At 25, he was 10 years younger than Robinson, and Fullmer counting on wearing Robinson down through 15 rounds in New York, 1957.
This contest, 15 rounds for the middleweight championship of the world. Introducing from West Jordan, Utah, wearing black trunks, weighing 157 1/4, the challenger, Gene Fullmer. His opponent from New York City, wearing white trunks, weighing 160 even, middleweight champion of the world, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Fullmer, while he looked accomplished, was a good fighter. And very well maybe world champion before the fight though. Fullmer came to win the world middleweight championship. All the way up here from West Jordan, Utah. And look at him, he's throwing final shot there in the 15th and final round of this fight. It's championship time, and Fullmer wants the title. But that is the terrific. This one goes into the book as the terrific fight. To start off the boxing year of 1957, we've got a terrific middleweight championship fight. It'll go to the scorecards. I believe that Fullmer has won this fight and will be the new champion. But we'll have to wait to make it official. Ray Robinson started out slow, with Fullmer winning the first couple. Robinson came back to win 3 and 4. Fullmer did a great job through the middle portion of the fight, and Robinson came back. We'll make it official when we go to our ring announcer and get the official scoring. Here we are.
Referee Ruby Goldstein scores at 8, 5, 2 even, favor of Fullmer. Judge Frank Forbes, 10-5, favor of Fullmer. Harold Barnes, 9-6, favor of Fullmer. Winner by unanimous decision, and the new middleweight champion of the world, Gene Fullmer.
Gene Fullmer and Sugar Ray Robinson fought 3 more times. 5 months after this fight, Robinson regained his middleweight title by knocking out Fullmer in 5 rounds. Their third fight, in 1960, ended in a draw. And their last one, a year later, ended in a Fullmer victory. Gene Fullmer was one of the few fighters who ever really surprised Ray Robinson.
We're going to move on now to Jean Nidetch, who died recently at the age of 91. She was a nice Jewish girl from Brooklyn who founded Weight Watchers. In 2013, the then CEO of Weight Watchers, David Kirchhoff, talked about Jean Nidetch on CNN.
First ever Weight Watchers meeting was in 1961 in Queens. That was started by a woman named Jean Nidetch. It started in her apartment, and then her apartment got too crowded, so they had to take it down to the common room in her apartment building. That started getting too crowded, and eventually the first official Weight Watchers meeting was actually over a movie theater in Queens, and that was actually how they figured out how to price the meeting. As I said, a Weight Watchers meeting should cost no more than the price of a movie ticket. And to this day, it really hasn't actually changed all that much from that. Actually, it's cheaper to go to a Weight Watchers meeting than it is to go to a movie. Jean had struggled with weight most of her life. She had done, just about every crazy diet you can think of, and inevitably the weight would always come back. And so one day, Jean's traveling by a New York City health department clinic that is offering free classes on obesity. And so Jean goes in and they give her the program. The only little problem was she wasn't really losing weight. What Jean didn't share was that she kept a stash of a product called the MOULER, and she kept a box of those in her laundry hamper. And she didn't want to talk about it. And it wasn't until she had this epiphany of blurting out this confession of MOULERs in the laundry hamper that all of her friends who were also struggling with their weight started to laugh, because everybody had a MOULER story. They just hid them in different places. And that spark was what started Weight Watchers 50 years ago.
Hey, MOULERs were really good. I can understand that. By the way, for all you equal opportunity people out there, Jean Nidetch made millions off of Weight Watchers. She sold the company, dyed her hair blonde, moved to Las Vegas to play poker, divorced her husband, and married an Italian bass player, but that only lasted a couple of months. Say la vie, huh, Jean? We're going to close with our feature tonight, Benny King, who died recently at the age of 76. You talk about rock and roll immortals, Benny King is right up there with any of them. A nice African-American boy born in North Carolina, born Benjamin E. Nelson. Here he talks about his musical influences growing up.
Mostly gospel. I was born in Henderson, North Carolina, so I didn't have a big choice of music. I listened to gospel, and as well I listened to country and western, because that's basically the only music that was there. Then it went over into blues and all the other bits and pieces, but gospel was the background for mostly all of us.
He moves to New York with a group called the Five Crowns. Eventually, he's recruited to the Drifters, who are always changing their lineups. The Drifters find themselves in the Brill Building, being produced by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. We've done Jerry Lieber's podcasts, and they turn out some of the most memorable records of the late 50s and early 60s, starting with one that Benny King wrote. They put strings in, which was new for rock and roll. They combined a South American beat with gospel, and with Benny King as the lead singer, There Goes My Baby went to number 2 on the charts.
There she goes. There she goes. There goes my baby, moving on down the line. Wonder where she is bound.
That was coming off every street corner in New York City, then every transistor radio in America, and Benny King's voice was one of the most recognizable in rock and roll. Here's one of their first follow-ups.
Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me. Hold me closer, closer and closer, much closer, while the music plays. Oh, my little darling, won't you dance with me?
That one was top 20. After that, everybody wanted to write for Benny King and the Drifters, including the up-and-coming songwriting team of Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann. And Doc Pomus had polio, but he used to write songs about dancing. The next dance record that Pomus and Schumann wrote for Benny King and the Drifters went to number 1 for several weeks. Supposedly, it's about Doc Pomus's wedding, where he's on crutches, can't dance with his wife, she's dancing with other people, but he has Benny King reminder that he's the one who's going to be taking her home.
You can dance, every dance with the guy who gives you the eye, let him hold you tight. You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me.
Let me tell you, records don't get much better than that. It's 1960 now, and Benny King's going to move to a solo career pretty soon, but I want to play one more Pomus and Schumann record that he did when he was with the Drifters. Another one of my favorites, This Magic Moment.
This magic moment, so different and so new, was like any other, until I kiss you, and then it happened. It took me by surprise. I knew that you felt it too, by the look in your eyes, sweeter than wine.
If he'd never done anything else, Benny King would still be an immortal. Save the Last Dance for Me, and There Goes My Baby are Grammy Hall of Fame winners. But in the summer of 1960, he decides to go solo. The Drifters were always breaking up and reforming. They were good, but they were never as good without him. In 1961, he had his first hit with another Lieber and Stoller song. It's an immortal. It's in the Rolling Stone list of the 500 greatest records of all time. Another one you could hear on every street corner in New York City. Some people think this is his greatest record, Spanish Harlem.
There is a rose in Spanish Harlem, a red rose up in Spanish Harlem. It is a special one, it's never seen the sun. It only comes up when the moon is on the run and all the stars are gleaming.
A lot of people covered that. No one ever did it as well. I'm going to play you one more of his singles written by Lieber and Stoller before I play his magnum opus. Underrated, it didn't go as high on the charts, and it's based on a 1961 Italian song.
I'll have nothing. I'll have no one. Adore you and want you so. I'm just a no one with nothing to give you but love.
That one you may be familiar with, the cover by Tom Jones. And now we come to his greatest song, the one that made him an immortal, Stand By Me. Everybody from John Lennon to Mickey Gilley has covered it. You got a movie named after it. BMI cited it as the 4th most played song of the 20th century. And in 2015, it was inducted into the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress. He did the primary writing with a little help from Lieber and Stoller, and here's where he got his influence.
Sam Cooke. I'm listening to some of his earlier things. He had a record called Lord Stand By Me, or Lord I'm Standing By You, somewhere in there. And I took the Stand By out, and I just put Stand By Me and started writing from there. That's how I came alive.
Here's the record he's talking about.
Oh, Father, you've been my friend. Now that I'm in trouble, stand by me to the end, oh Lord. Oh, I want you to stand by.
The irony is, although Sam Cooke wrote that, and those are the soul stirrers, and it sounds like Sam Cooke, it's not. It's Johnny Taylor. Went on to do Who's Making Love to Your Old Lady. He sounded like Sam Cooke there, and I don't know if Benny King knew the difference. Anyway, here is Benny King's 1961 masterpiece.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me.
Not only a rock and roll classic, but an American music classic. Well, I'm going to close on that note. I want to thank my producer and IT genius, Sid Tepps. I know you thought I was going to close with Stand By Me, and I am, but I'm going to close with a cover. We opened with a boxer, and we're going to close with one. If this doesn't prove you can't ruin a great song, nothing ever will. In 1964, right after he won the heavyweight title, Columbia had Cassius Clay go into the studio and record Stand By Me.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we see. No, I won't be afraid.